Alexander Usyk is a historically great heavyweight. He's the greatest heavyweight in the last decade, probably the greatest heavyweight of the century. He's up there with Lennox Lewis. When I look at the greatest heavyweights ever now, to me it's going to be Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis, Alexander Usyk, and then that fifth spot, that's up for debate. I'm a big Larry Holmes fan. I'm probably more likely to put Larry there, but you could argue a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys, but Usyk, there's a lot to unpack here, right? So he's the undisputed cruiserweight champion, and this will all go to what I'm getting to, but Usyk's undisputed cruiserweight champion, wins every fight on the road. Super impressive, right? That's not an achievement most people can do. Becomes undisputed, moves up to heavyweight, beats Anthony Joshua twice, and I get that everyone watching this is a hardcore fight fan, so I'm doing the obnoxious, annoying, middle-aged man thing where I talk obvious things and say it to you, but he beats Joshua twice, and Joshua, many people, there'd been a heavy investment, right? Remember with Joshua, big promoter behind him, a lot of opportunities. He got built up, and he was a big star coming out of the Olympics. Usyk's also an Olympic gold medalist, but he didn't take that same route. He took a more traditional boxing route. The opportunities weren't there at that time for a cruiserweight with television dates. He went and became undisputed, moves up to heavyweight, beats Joshua twice, beats Tyson Fury twice. He basically beat everybody in his era twice now. He's beat Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois. He's beating all these guys, and he's doing it again. There's no issue or lack of confidence in Usyk where he's like, that fight was close. I don't want to do it. No, he rematches guys. And tonight, there was just a class difference. Dubois is as good of a fighter he's ever been. He's probably the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division. And he looked lost on how to solve what Usyk was doing. And he ended up getting hurt and knocked out. There was a little bit of a folklore to the first fight. To me, it was quite obvious that it was a low blow. And then Usyk got up and stopped him. And then for this fight, there's no controversy. He beat him and defined that he is the guy of this era. And I think the toughest thing with me about Usyk is he's so clearly the best guy or one of the four best fighters in the world. The accomplishments speak for themselves. And it speaks to the world we live in where because he's not one of these fighters who people saw consistently on networks or were built up to be a superstar, I think there's a bit of resistance to enjoying him just because he went out and he earned it and it's not your favorite fighter. If Joshua had achieved this same thing, no one would doubt the legacy or the spot Joshua's at. If Tyson Fury did this, because of the personalities and the amount of a connection the fans have had with those fighters. For some reason in America, fans don't have that same connection to Usyk, and it kind of makes me frustrated. It makes me mad because this is everything we want from the sport. This is a true competitor who was willing to risk it all, took fights on the road, took fights that many people would say the business of boxing says you shouldn't do it. And what did he do? He created his own destiny with dominant performances and became the best guy of the era. I keep saying it again, he's one of the 5 best heavyweights of all time, and I'm getting so tired of people laughing when you say that. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Yes, maybe the guys in that 70s or 80s era had more talent than some of these heavyweights, but Usyk is an undersized cruiserweight fighting at heavyweight, fighting guys who are as big, if not bigger, than any other era of heavyweight. And he's winning pretty dominantly. And then in the rematches, he's separating himself from these fighters. Alexander Usyk is why I watch boxing. To see people who I didn't know how good they would be emerge and become Hall of Fame fighters through performance. And it feels like nowadays we're getting into a world of the social media antics, which really began with pre-social media reality television, right? Reality television was social media before social media, and then social media came and reality TV, I think, became less of a thing because people could just sit on their phones and follow whoever they want, that could now become other people's reality, could become their reality. And I think that some of the dramatics that fans are drawn to nowadays come from a cultural, at least in the U.S., of enjoying kind of the show around a fighter. And I think what's hurt Usyk is there's not really a lot of that. This is a guy who has a funny sense of humor, but I think people misunderstand his humor at times. He's consistently underestimated, and he's a true sportsman. And in this modern era, people don't give fighters like that the credit they deserve. You know, you look at him, you look at guys like Inoue, Bivol, Beterbiev, Crawford, Bam Rodriguez, who fights later tonight. And these are guys who go out there and they earn their spot in the sport. And I just, after watching this is such a sensational performance. I was at my buddy's house, just got home. I don't know how you can look at Usyk and go, I don't know if he's one of the best heavyweights ever. Like, I just don't know how you look at this performance and question that this is a historically special heavyweight, that when he's gone, we're going to go, man, that guy is up there with the best to ever do it. So I want your opinions. How do you feel about Usyk? Because to me, he's been something special, especially since COVID in 2000. He's really gone into this next gear in the heavyweight division, going from, in my opinion, the best cruiserweight ever. I know some people have nostalgia and they like Evander Holyfield. Just seems like his skill set is a little bit more than Evander Holyfield. And I guess that's the whole thing, right? A lot of people, I think, when you grow up and you're fond of boxers in a certain era, you don't look at things objectively. You're like, you want your childhood to be more meaningful or more special because you probably had a deeper love for the sport. So I think a lot of, like, when you bring up these things about Usyk, people get frustrated with you because they're kind of fighting mortality. They're fighting themselves. But I just wanted to give a big shout out to Usyk, who's become my favorite fighter to watch just because he's always taken the tough challenges and he's become the man in two different weight classes against two of the best eras that those weight classes had. That era of cruiserweight Usyk won against was a solid era, and now this heavyweight is, maybe there's not a ton of generational greats outside of Tyson Fury, and maybe Joe Parker is out there, but Joe's on a run, but he's beating guys that are really, really big that should be able to overpower him, because people say a good big man should beat a good little man. Well, he's proving that adage to be wrong. And I think that I wish that he got the respect. Maybe this performance will do it. It always just feels like people put one more, oh, he's got to do this, he's got to do that. I mean, he beat Dubois, who a lot of people looked at and go, oh, that what I perceived as a low blow was a knockdown, and he should have been counted out, and then he comes back and dominates. I didn't see Dubois have much success, if any success, in this fight until the point of the stoppage, where Dubois just looked absolutely frustrated and shocked that it happened this way. So Alexander Usyk, all-time great heavyweight.